Hi guys, thanks for joining my YouTube channel. I just wanted to speak with you all today. Many of you have said that if Arion is allowed to join the show that you won't watch. Why do you think Arion is still relevant? Arion seems to think that the viewers want to see her. And the more people run to her lives and keep her relevant, she's so excited about how many people join her lives and the amount of time that they join her live. This is keeping her relevant. There's not much more Arion can say. I mean, maybe there is, but she's released pretty much, the whole thing. She said it's not all her fault. She claimed that Melody and Martell were not together when the show started, that, Carlos told them to fake it. So, she really wasn't in the wrong, that she was still messing with Martell because he really wasn't, they were separated and they just got back together for the show. So this is the stuff that she's already said. For those of you who've never heard that, perhaps this is what she's threatening to tell. She said all of that, but she will remain relevant. And this is lucrative, sort of, not as much as it is as, people on the show, but this is bringing to her clothing business. This is keeping customers coming. Not everybody's going to have an ought against her. Some people, don't like what she did, but they're still not going to, have a disdain for her. They're still not going to hate her. Some women, who maybe are side chicks or mess with people's husbands, don't have a kid, hey, they think she's fine. There's all sorts of people. Not everybody is going to be mad at her. Not everybody's going to be mad at Martell. Not everybody is going to be mad at Melody or even like Melody. Mark seems to have a disdain for Melody because she bought her life, her marriage. He feels like she sold her soul, to TV. She sold out her family, her marriage, her business. Mark seems to think, she says she's a Christian, but she doesn't live, the values of a Christian. His perspective. This is what happens when you put your life in front of people to give their opinions. No, it's not right. We don't like it, but this is the devil in TV. People feel like you've given them the opportunity to pick you apart, So he says Van is angry at him, because he said he was speaking facts and all he said was what they already put out in public. He said how many years Mel put up with Martell, how many years she knew about Arion. And Van got in the comments of a comment he put in, on a video, and she went off on him. And he said they haven't talked since. So that's why him and Van, they were broken up already. He said, but that's why she's angry at him because, Mark seems to think he's telling the whole story, things that they chose to leave out. He had an inside look at the relationship and privy to what was going on. So he figured he'd share it with social media. Again, people can leave, add, and subtract what they want. They don't have to tell the whole story. But there are people, who are going to go digging. And Mark just so happened to think that he knew the whole story. And so he thought he'd share. He said he was trying to save Van because him and Van was in a relationship. Van chose to say that they were not. Well, he said they were friends, but I guess friends with benefits. Van said as if they were just friends. He said he had 2 other women while he was dealing with Van. She didn't like the way the relationship was going. The relationship went on for 2 years, he said. He said they broke up right before the show aired. And, that was that. He said he was, the bloggers are continuing to annoy him and ask him to spill the tea about the sex tape and all this other stuff. And he said, why would I give you something for free? I'm holding this in case I need to prove something. He said he's holding all the information he has in case he needs to prove, what he's been saying all along. He said he doesn't have anything against, Van or her daughter. He's just speaking on what they already put out in public. He says that Marcus said, the situation about, their parents being married for 40 years. And I don't know if he said that Mel said she was 36 or where he got that information from. However, that's out there. He's just saying, I'm talking about it because they already put it out for the world to judge it. And so I'm judging it. I'm judging her being a Christian because the Bible says, these are his words, that adultery is if you're married and you cheat on a husband or a wife. Mel is leading her flock into saying, thinking that what she did was not adultery. So he said he's annoyed by that. Even though he's not a Christian, he doesn't love God, he doesn't believe in Christianity or whatever, he knows, he says he knows, the moral compass of being a Christian. And he doesn't like when people use God for their own benefit, something of that nature. He says he doesn't talk about his brother's infidelity because it hasn't been proven. There's been nothing for him to touch on. He said he runs a podcast and this is stuff that he does. He says he was raped before in the military and that, he had to put that in public because he knows that, the line of work that he does, people will go digging. He says he's not ashamed of that. He put it out before anybody can use it against him. He said he understands TV, internet, when you put yourself out in public like this, things are going to be exposed. And, there's no secrets. People are going to find out what they want to find out. He said he doesn't talk about Marceau or Maurice's infidelity because what they did before marriage, they did. He said, but he hasn't seen anything. He doesn't have any proof. He said people DM him all the time saying they cheated with his brothers, but they don't want to give a name. They don't want to give anything concrete. So he doesn't talk about them. He said he only talks about, stuff that he knows or stuff that's been, proven. So Mark, he's relevant because he's getting viewers to his whatever social media he's on. The bloggers are constantly asking him to spill the tea on Van. Tell the story. Why protect her if she didn't protect you? All sorts of stuff. He said he did have his sister write an apology to Van. He said because, he was wrong. He wanted to dead it. He wanted to stay silent, but they keep poking the bear. And so now he's out full blast. He said now there's no putting him back in on the shelf because he tried to stay quiet. He didn't want to be relevant. He didn't want anybody paying him. He wasn't clout chasing. He didn't want anybody, trying to make him famous by the information that he had. So he didn't give it up. He said he's keeping this information, in case he has to go full-fledged on what he knows to be true. He knows they were in a relationship. Yes, he was seeing 2 other women at the same time. And it went on for 2 years. I guess Van got sick of it. And, they called it quits. They decided, maybe that things were going to come out on the show that, they didn't want revealed. I don't know. But he said they ended in 2019, I believe, right before the show aired. So the thing with Kiki, Kiki and Tisha, I knew from the beginning that there was rivalry between those two. There's animosity, there's jealousy. She's saying they were penned against each other. Kiki feels like she deserves Tisha's life because she was raised in a home and Tisha was raised in a projects, and so on and so forth. I guess they both went to college, but Kiki's family, was a little well off. Her father was an entrepreneur, and so Kiki feels like, the family has always pitted them against each other, saying this one is better than that one. This one, has this one. Tisha's living in a house that she bought and Kiki's renting a house and, all this other stuff. And Wanda seems to think this happened 4 or 5 years ago. Why are you still bringing it up? You're still bringing it up because you have a disdain about your cousin. You're jealous of your cousin. You want to, bring up anything to get on a show for your 15 minutes of fame. And Mel has used you to bring this stuff up. And on the clips that's coming up that you've seen, in this clip here, they're at dinner, they're at the restaurant, and Wanda pretty much dares Kiki to tell what she knows. If you know something, spill it. And Kiki just took the floor. She took the floor. She said it was just a blame statement that she made when Mel asked her, did she know about Marceau's infidelity? And she said she just made a blanket statement saying that we talked about it. Me and my cousin talked about it. She said, and people ran with that. But at the restaurant, when given the opportunity by Wanda, she took the floor. She says, yes, you told me, we talked about it when Marceau cheated. And, Marceau is going off. Tisha is saying you're trying to hurt me. You're trying to kill me, pretty much. She said, I never told you that. I never told you anything about my husband and infidelity. And then we see the scene where it comes out that Wanda approaches Tisha saying that, Marcel has been to a hotel. He's been out with a friend. Is this friend a girl? Or is this friend a guy, Marcel? Come on. From the looks of things, this is a female friend. He is looking so... Oh my God, Marceau. Tisha said, I told you that was a no-no for me. That was a deal breaker for me. I told you this already. And from the looks of things, Marceau is in the hot seat. The way he's answering this question, as usual, Tisha's not going to like what he says. He says he was out with a friend, and that's what it is. Was this friend a girl, a young lady? And you're a married man? Listen, guys, this is getting crazy. Mel said how Tisha, was throwing digs at her, saying you put up with Martell. She said 3 years, but it was much more than 3 years. And that Tisha was constantly saying that. And she said, but every time we look up, for all these years, your husband is on the internet. Your husband is being talked about, and you're still with him. So who's really the fool? So yeah, guys, this story, this show is getting crazy. Also, Carlos did a live saying there's no queens of this show. Nobody's better than the other. Mel is not his favorite. Mel is not, in charge or the top, everybody's equal. He said that's why it's an ensemble. He's in agreement with what the Scotts was saying. They need all of them to bring the show together. Same thing Kimmy said. It's not just one person who is better than the other, who the people watch for. The people watch for everybody. It's what everybody brings that makes it a good show. It's what everybody brings that has the show, at its highest peak of ratings. I kind of disagree with that because I think, most people are really invested in this show because of all the information that Mel and Martell gave, I believe. Everybody else wants to be private. They want to be secretive. They want to tell what they want to tell. And I believe, my perspective is that Mel and Martell let it all hang out. I don't believe they, initially wanted to. I don't believe that was the intention, initially. But perhaps it was new to them and they didn't, realize all of what they were sharing and how much they were sharing. And so they just went loose. And I mean, people cannot hardly believe it. And they have really gotten invested in this show. Yes, they watch everything else. They continue to watch. But I believe that started the ratings going through the roof. Because they've never seen anything like it. There's no, Mel said this is what reality is. Hey, if you don't like the mess, if you don't like the messiness, if you don't like the drama, go watch another show. Because this is what reality TV is. And so, guys, we're in for a whirlwind. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.